everybody. This is the James Cooley Show. It's your life with Dr. James J.C. Cooley and myself, Michelle Cooley. And Dr. Cooley will be joining us in a minute or so, but we are having a great day. And we are excited about the guests that will be on the show today. And this day has been really good. And we're leading the week before Thanksgiving. Oh my gosh, Thanksgiving is next week. So I hope everybody's done their Thanksgiving shopping and know exactly where they're going. And I guess the question I would have for everybody is, what do you prefer to be, the host or the guest? So I can see two sides to it. So to me, the host, you're doing a lot of work. You're getting up even the night before. You're preparing the turkey, making sure everything's cleaned up, and then the day of, all those people coming, and then you're waiting and you're enjoying the fellowship and family and friends and just being thankful. So that's amazing. But being a hostess is a lot of work. Now, being a guest, you just show up with food or a nice drink bottle of wine, and you enjoy and you feed and you help out, and then you can leave. So it really depends on what you're looking to do. But I enjoy being both. It depends on, the year. But again, the James Cooley Show, it's your life. We have an amazing show today for you. We have the amazing Sheilah Kimble on the show, and the title of the show is going to be it's called Paralyzed in Pain. So let's get a little bit of information about this amazing guest on the show today, Sheilah Kimble. So again, the title of the show is called Paralyzed in Pain, and we're getting to know entrepreneur, speaker, author, founder, director, and CEO Sheilah Kimble. And we're going to talk about, things that she's experienced in life. She has been a cancer survivor. She has been a survivor of domestic violence and sexual assault, but also she has a career as an entrepreneur and an author and a playwright. I mean, she's doing so many great things, and she's here to tell us all about it. So, hey, if you want to be part of the conversation, just type in your comments and just send it to us. Any questions you want to ask Sheilah, and we are just excited to have everybody on the show today. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Sheilah Kimble to the show. Hi, Sheilah. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Well, we are so excited to have you to the show, but we're going to just tell our audience a little bit about you. But you know what? I'm going to kind of start and just tell them a little bit, just summarize, your bio. And of course, during the show, you're going to tell us a little bit more. But again, Sheilah Kimble is the founder, director, and CEO of the Arthur Lee Duncantell II Foundation, the Duncantell Foundation, a 501c3 nonprofit organization, which she created in honor of her son who lost his life as a result of being murdered due to domestic violence. And he left behind 2 children. Sheilah, at an early age, at 2.5 years of age, she was diagnosed with a childhood cancer, and she was told that her family was told that she only had 6 months to live. But yes, praise God, she is still here. She has been a victim of domestic violence and sexual assault. But you know what? Being a survivor of domestic violence herself, she challenges. And her ultimate tragedy was losing her eldest son to not only gun violence, but also domestic violence, as his perpetrators continue to walk free because of the police department's refusal to investigate his death due to systemic racism. Sheilah's perpetrators still walk free. And, I guess her goal, and she will tell us more about it, is about the challenges she has faced based on this tragedy. But Sheilah has took to writing, as she currently self-publishes 9 books of plays, currently working on other projects. Sheilah decided to do what was to create more opportunities from a positive perspective that will assist victims, whether they are men, women, or children, to raise their self-esteem and to bring awareness of how domestic violence affects all, not just women, and how they can heal themselves through the art of music, song, dance, acting, and writing. So, wow, that's a lot, but there's a lot more. Sheilah, again, welcome to the James Cooley Show. It's your life. How are you doing today?
I'm well. I'm blessed. Thank you.
Wow. So can you kind of tell us where you are from? Where did you grow up, Sheilah?
Well, I'm originally from Chicago. I my family moved to California when I was 8 years old, and primarily have lived in Southern California.
Oh, okay. So what was it like growing up in Chicago?
It had its ups and downs because I was bullied a lot, but I have memories with the snow, school, and the fun that we had as children.
Oh, okay. Well, can you tell us a little bit about what you do now? Like, what is your role? Like, what is your current position now today?
My current position today, I work in behavioral and mental health.
Hmm.
Um, and I work with victims of domestic violence. I work with I work with clients who have substance use disorder problems, and I work with the batterers as well.
So, what would be the best word that describes Sheila Kimble? What's the one adjective that describes you and why?
Blessed because I have endured so much.
Wow, I like that. So, the title of the topic, basically the title of today's show is called "Paralyzed in Pain." Why did you want to title the show this way?
I wanted to title it this way because there are many people that have gone through a lot. Um, their trauma often paralyzes them, and they don't know how to speak out, or they suffer in silence, such as I did for such a long time. And knowing or realizing that I had a gift, I decided to use that gift and hone in on my crafts, which was to help others.
Wow, hey Shayla. So just looking and doing our research and looking at your bio and a lot of things that occurred in your life, it takes a strong person to be able to persevere, keep their head up, and fight, continue to fight, and also to identify certain things that are out there that that you see that you is enduring that other people might also see and endure but are afraid to talk about it. Why you think it's so important that we talk about these topics and identify these things, and so that the others will know that they're not the only one.
And that's why I do it because for the longest, I basically was pigeonholed and told that those are things that you shouldn't talk about. Get over it. I think that was the biggest problem is people telling me get over it. How can you get over tragedy? That's difficult to do. So I took to writing, and through my writings, I was able to be creative. And using that creativity, I was able to share my story um, in different platforms.
So I believe you have written over 10 books or writings. Can you tell our viewers and our listeners a little bit about some of the things that you write about and why it's so important to discuss this topic?
Well, I currently have 10 books published, one of them which is a play, and that constantly changes, of course, as I develop it. But I have written about church house hurt. And it's not in the sense that many people would think. There's a lot of things that goes on in the church because the church is a hospital for the sick. So I use that platform to let people know that there's ways to overcome that hurt as you help others to heal. I speak about the trauma that some women can go through. I speak about Black mothers, African American Black mothers, not just African American, but Black mothers who raise sons as single parents. And when I say black parents or black mothers, it's because of our history. But it doesn't define us only as having difficult times, because many women in all cultures have difficulties raising their sons, in a single parent household. So I write about that. I have a couple of cookbooks that I have written, and I put Black history in there because I feel that people need to know where many of the recipes come from, why, and they need to know about cultural history, not just American history, not just about European history, but about cultural history from all across the board.
So that's a plethora of different topics, and that makes a person well-rounded. And it also identifies that you know you are talented, because I know that you are. You're doing a lot of great things.
Thank
But this is what we're going to do. We're going to take a station break. But when we get back, we're going to talk about some of the things, the tragedy things that occurred, that you identified, you overcame, and especially talk about your son Duncan a little bit. And we're just going to talk about all of these things so we can give our listeners and our audience a perspective of just hold your head up, keep fighting, stay in there. So we're going to take a station break. If you want to be part of this great conversation with this great lady, all you have to do is go to the wherever you're watching this at. Whether you're watching on E360 television, whether you're watching on YouTube, whatever you're watching on, you can go in and ask this young lady any questions that you want. We'll be back shortly after the break. Remember, it's your life.
Really get a chance to know who you are. And once you know who you are, you truly know who you are, love who you are. Love who you are. You're a masterpiece. Love who you are. Love who you were born to be. Love me some me. That's what I'm talking about. When you leave high school, you gotta know today or tomorrow, hopefully today, what your plans are. Hopefully, there is no bad decision unless there is no plan. Create, collaborate, commit with confidence. Commit with what? Commit with what? And everything that you do.
Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's your life, and we got our fantastic guests. We got Sheilah Kimble here, who's sharing a lot of great things, a lot of great knowledge with us. And I tell you, because in the title of today's show is "Paralyzing Pain." Many of us, go through life and go through challenging trials and tribulations, and we're paralyzed in pain, but then we just stay there. We don't do anything about it. We just stay there. They're frozen into awe. Sometimes you have to step up. You have to talk about it. You have to share it because you are helping others out. And that's what Sheila is doing today. And I'm just so happy to have you on the show today, Sheila. And I'm so happy that we're gonna delve off in a lot of these things that cause a person to be paralyzed in pain. But if they don't do anything, they're frozen in time, just like I said. So again, if you want to be part of this, just ask this young lady any question you want to, and I promise you, I'll get it on the screen and she'll answer it. Hey Sheila, so I want to go all the way back to when you was 2.5 years old, and I think you were diagnosed with some form of cancer, and they told your family that you probably wouldn't live for 6 months, but you endured that even at that young age. I mean, the strength, having the strength and the willpower to move forward and grow up, and I'm talking about and to be where you're at today. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yes, I was 2.5. I was diagnosed with a childhood cancer called retinoblastoma, and it left me blind in my right eye. I had what is called an eye enucleation. That's the surgical removal of. So I oftentimes have complexes about my appearance, but 50% of children live from that cancer. And I was blessed to be able to live from that. I remember that in detail, the surgery anyway. I remember some things about that, and I have questioned family members concerning that. So I just thank God for, letting that be one of the trials that I was able to overcome.
And Sheila, you went through a lot of trials growing up, or a teenager, etc. That again, that going through these things, you learned and you understood that Sheila got a voice of opinion. She have to stand for herself, and she cannot let these things uh, just get to you where you might not want to be around, or these things like that. Can you talk about some of those things, some of the trials and tribulations that you went through?
Some of the trials and tribulations that I went through, as I stated earlier, was mostly bullying. Um, I guess people thought that because I didn't really speak up for myself, or I didn't take up for myself, because I wasn't really around family, and the family that I did have at the time, they were all older than I, or either younger than I. So I kind of had to fend for myself. And there were people in my life that, came in for a season and took up for me. But I just kind of had to figure things out for myself. So I shied away from people and kind of stayed to myself and used my imagination as part of my creativity.
What would you tell some of viewers that might have experienced things like that, and how that they could overcome and just maintain or a positive attitude and go out and share their message with others? What would you tell them?
Well, I would tell them that they can share their story, because some people feel that, oh, if I share my story, I'm telling all of my business. No, you're not telling all of your business. You're just stating the key facts of what has happened to you and how you have overcome it. And I always have people that I've dealt with so far, I always tell them, if they have a passion for something or a hobby, use that as part of their outlet to heal, and expound on that. And when I say expound, help somebody else that may have that same desire as you have. And that will be part of your healing process, part of your therapy.
And it's another thing that especially in the city, and many of the cities around here. You mentioned bullying, you mentioned gangs, uh, and it happens all the time, and it's getting worse.
Yes.
And I believe that you had a son that was killed due to violence, and bullying and all that other type of stuff. Can you talk about that a little bit?
My son, when I first recognized, was bullied beginning at the age of 5. And, as old school parents always said, fight back. Um, but I always taught my children, don't be part of a gang if you're approached, because my son was approached several times in front of me, and I always tell him you from God's gang. That's the only gang that you need to be a part of. I bought him weights at a young age. He was about 12, so that he can learn how to defend himself, and to help his siblings, even though he was the middle child, teach them how to be able to defend themselves. But it was something about him that was a little different, because I remember I had moved to Riverside County, and he was approached by a 17-year-old who pulled a knife out on him. And he was at least 9 years old at the time, maybe 10. I don't even think he was 9, but that's when I had to really pay attention to him, because of some of the things that he said, some of the things that he did. Um, it was difficult. All I could do was talk to him. So that's how there's some of the things that he had to go through growing up.
But you kind of fought back because I think you started a foundation, a nonprofit, something similar to that in his honor. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Well, I began the foundation in his honor because growing up, he wanted to start a nonprofit organization working with wayward boys, because he knew he gave me a difficult time growing up as a teenager. Um, and he felt that that was a way that he could give back because of some of the things that he had experienced in his life at an early age.
So your son originally came up with the idea, and he learned from a lot of things that he had done growing up, and like, hey, I let me pay it forward. Let me give some of these things back. Is that a nonprofit that you still, is it still in existence?
Yes, it is. I developed it, the inception of the nonprofit, shortly after his demise, and I've had it ever since. I have had people who have come in and volunteered. Some of them stayed, some of them, didn't. Things happen. People move on. They develop, and go on to other things, positive things in their lives. And so I still have it. I'm still, what I'm doing now is branding it and going about it from a different perspective. Because when I started it, I was focusing on the youth in the community. And then someone approached me and asked me my story, and I shared it, a little bit of my story. And they said, your son was a victim of domestic violence, teen domestic violence. And I'm like, wow, right, really? So I kind of revamped it, and I started focusing from a different perspective. And I'm currently branding it again, because as you grow, as it develops, as you go on for years, you grow. And so I'm changing some things, and that's one of the reasons why I wrote Paralyzed in Pain, because that's a book that I can use to assist with helping to fund the projects that I'm working on.
Wow. Okay. So can you tell us some of the things that this nonprofit is doing, and just bring awareness to our communities around there, because we need to know, and that's how we get the community to help out, help fund, help donate, and all that. So can you talk a little bit about some of the things that you all are doing?
I've been working with victims of domestic violence. I worked with a friend who helped me get started as a DV advocate, get certified. I am now certified as a DV batterers intervention facilitator. I went to school and got my degree for addictions counseling, because a lot of times The victim often turns to substances. I'm not saying all, but some. Or sometimes the batterers, they use substances because of childhood trauma that they have to deal with. So, in revamping what I'm doing, I'm also going to get additional training in, as I stated, mental health, behavioral health, so that can be part of the inception of what it is that I'm doing. So I can be able to reach the masses, more people, and get other people on board to assist because the substance use disorder, the domestic violence, all of that is part of mental health issues. And first, we have to deal with the deeply rooted trauma. Once we're able to deal with the deeply rooted trauma, then we can help that person to heal. So that's the direction that I'm focusing on right now because I tell people that again, they shouldn't have to suffer in silence. They don't have to tell their business, but to focus on those key points that harms them the most, that causes the destruction in their lives. So, to get therapy, again, some people don't want the traditional therapy, and I can understand that because I dealt with that. That's nothing that really didn't. I end up assessing some of the therapists that I dealt with. I could see the trauma that they were dealing with, so that's why I used art. That's why I'm using, the music, the writing, the singing, the arts and performances that they can be able to utilize. And in order to do that, you have to fund that. So once I'm able to get funding to assist others to hone in on their crafts or help them to develop what they have that's innate within them, then we can move forward. But in the meantime, again, as I stated, we had to move from the building that we were in. So I'm looking to get another building so that I can be able to, put workshops and more things into that building and continue to help others.
Wow, that's important. Are you working with any community leaders, government agencies, uh, to team with, to help you bring awareness and also to help bring some healness to this serious topic right here, especially mental health?
Well, there are a couple of agencies, one being the domestic violence, it's the National Domestic Violence Awareness Coalition. But I had always been doing everything in the background because a lot of things I was doing with myself or limited people. And it wasn't until right before COVID, a friend who is also an entrepreneur said, "You can't stay in your cubby hole. You can't keep everything a secret. You got to get out there and let people know who you are." Because a lot of people, yeah, maybe they have heard, maybe not, of your foundation, but you can, get more bees with honey than you can with vinegar. So I started, trying to get out there. And then COVID hit and it kind of put me at a standstill. So now, I'm trying to do things again and get out there. But I do a lot of things in the background because I'm kind of, again, shy. And it's not so much shy, I'm cautious.
Hmm.
And again, as I stated, it's a complex that I have about myself. So it's my self-esteem, and I realize that. So I just kind of, try to do what I can in the background.
Wow, that's the first thing about receiving help and understanding it is realizing uh, if you got a problem yourself, if I got a problem myself, is I identify, yes, this is what I am afraid of. This is what I worry about. This is what, once you get those things out, uh, you get a better understanding and you know how you can go about helping others. I tell you, this is an absolutely fantastic conversation. We're going to take a station break, but we're going to come back and we're going to continue this great discussion
Thank you.
with Sheila. So I tell you what, you want to be part of the conversation, all you do is just go to your comments, ask this young lady any questions you want to, and I promise you we'll get the answer to you. It's your life. We'll be back shortly after the break.
Life is a series of circles and cycles, phrases and stages. These experiences teach you the lessons of life. You can either ignore them or embrace them. Welcome to It's Your Life with James Cooley. James is a motivational speaker, author, military veteran, and founder of the J.C. Cooley Foundation. James is here to equip you to strive for greatness and overcome adversity. It's time to get you equipped today for the challenges of tomorrow. Now, here's the host of It's Your Life, James Cooley.
It's your life.
Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's Your Life, and I tell you, we got Sheilah here, and she's just telling you how it is. She's putting it out there, and to open minds, and also to guide you on that you're not the only one that might be in the situation that you might think that you're in. You know, there's others out there, but you got to speak up. You got to, be able to step forward and if just like what you said a second ago, if you're the only one sitting on something that you know, how you gonna help somebody else out? You have to be able to share it and tell somebody about it, regardless of what it is. That helps, I believe, get rid of the pain. It also helps the healing. It also helps others. So if you want to be part of this great discussion that we're having with Sheilah Kimble here, again, just go to the comments, ask her any questions that you might have, and we'll get you an answer. So, Sheila, I want to go back a little bit because in the healing process on many, many things, and then it goes through the trials and tribulations that we experience. And, you mentioned as a child, as a teenager, that you was sexually assaulted. And how did that change you as a person?
Um, I was already kind of like shielded, sheltered. So I think what happened is it made me withdraw even more, um, and stay to myself. It wasn't until a friend's mom recognized some things about me, and she approached me privately, of course. And she asked me a couple of key questions, and had I told anybody? And I told her no, I had not. And she told me that I needed to, and I didn't want to do that, because I felt that if I told, not only would I get in trouble with my parents, but it would lead to the bullying aspect again. And I pretty much kept it to myself.
Anybody, any of the perpetrators brought to justice?
From the sexual assault?
Hmm.
No. Well, you know what? Let me take that back. Yes, two of them were brought to justice, but it had nothing to do with me. What happened was three of them were football players from two different high schools, and two of them had charges brought against them because it was found that they were sexually assaulting multiple girls from the different high schools in the area. And so that's how they got caught. But no, it was nobody other than that was ever brought to justice because we just didn't talk about it. And the only reason why I found out about it is because I happened to go somewhere with an associate, and she noticed something about me, and I told her I didn't like the person. I didn't care for him. And she said, "What happened?" And she made a comment, "Oh, he must have did something to you." And I really didn't answer, but I guess it bothered her. And then she started talking about it once we went back to class. And come to find out, there were several girls in that class that had experienced the same thing when the name was brought up. I was like, wow. But I sat back and I listened to their stories. And I realized that I wasn't the only one that it had been done to. So Again, I always thought I was the ugly duckling. Why would anybody be interested in me? Um, I wasn't allowed on the cheerleading team because the girls told me, well, some of them, not all of them, but said, "Oh, you're not pretty enough to be on the cheerleading team." So that brought my self-esteem down even more, and that caused me to go further and further in a cubby hole. I call it a cubby hole. So, yeah, nothing was. That's why I took to writing. I've been writing all my life. I call myself doing little skits when I was like in the fourth and fifth grade. So I've always written. I've always had that imagination. But my maternal side of the family are all creators. They're all gifted and talented. So we were born with that. That was part of, my blessing.
Wow. So you have children, you have people in general that are mean, and they try sometimes to tackle or bring down who they think is vulnerable. But one thing that I say is, people are going to be people, but we cannot let that define who we are, because we all are children of the Most High God, and we all are here with a purpose that we have to fulfill. And by switching to writing and art, uh, it seemed like you did not let that define you or what these people were saying, because you're a beautiful person and you have done so many things. What would you tell the young girls, the young guys out there that are being bullied or being uh, talked down to or pushed on because they might have some vulnerability? What would you tell them about not letting those things define them, that being confronted with them?
Well, first they must understand that what's happening is it's called trauma bonding. Trauma bonding is when people seek out those who are vulnerable because they don't want anyone that's going to be aggressive or challenge them. They seek out people who they can control, and that's part of the domestic violence. That's part of the violence part. This is done with children as well, where the adults will tell them, "Oh, you know what? This is our secret. Keep it a secret," because they know that the child is vulnerable. And I always tell children and youth, if someone tells you to keep something a secret, then it's something that they're doing wrong. Don't keep it a secret. If they say, "Oh, I'm going to kill your family, I'm going to do this," take that chance and tell somebody anyway that you can trust, a trusted adult that's going to listen. Um, that will open up Pandora's box. And I tell people, because I'm the one that's always giving advice. I'm the one that's always telling people how beautiful they are and bringing out the positive aspects in them, because I find myself doing it with my clients, whether male or female. And one of my clients told me recently, "Miss S, you need to take your own advice." And I kind of smiled because it goes over my head. So I'm good with helping someone else. And when I see that they have a talent within them, I help them to develop that talent so that they can see their worth and let them know that, they are worth somebody. They are somebody, that has self-worth. So that's how I focus on that aspect.
Wow, wow. So that's what I mean by the purpose. We all have self-worth, but we have to dig deep inside of us and not let anybody come and take that away from us. uh we have to push back on the negativity and just look at the positive side of things. And a lot of that goes by being able to do that is making sure that you surround yourself with the right type of folks. I mean, I, I got a saying that I don't think I can just be around anybody that's not bringing something positive to my life. I mean, I don't want to have nothing to do with that, because that's sometimes will bring you down, and then that's a mental portion of that, and that's why you mentioned earlier about mental health. A lot of, especially people of color, we feel that we don't want to go through the traditional way, and we don't need help. Uh, but I beg the difference. I say uh, we all need help, and we
Right.
all have to be able to stick our head up a little higher. And if we need to seek that, we go out and seek, and not let pride get in our way. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yes. So I began, well, let me start this way. Before my son passed away, I was going for my doctorate degree in human services. When he passed away, I was bitter. I was angry, of course, it's natural. But I had to turn that bitterness into betterness. And so when I did decide to go back to school, they said the 10-year mark hit. So you got to start all over again. I was like, oh, wow. But, in doing that, and I still, have to work on that because of funding. But in doing that, I started clinical psychology because that was part of the addictions counseling aspect. And although addictions counseling was just a junior college level, and I have a master's degree, um, it helped me to see some other things as I work with those in the mental health and addictions counseling aspect. So I take my knowledge, and I use that knowledge and try to apply it to real world situations, because there are those who are not culturally sensitive to people of color. Um, so I feel that people such as myself, because we have experienced this and because we are culturally sensitive, we can be able to reach out and help others more so.
Wow. I see Michelle asked you a question.
Yes.
Can you let me read it out to our viewers and our other listeners. It says, Sheila, sometimes we have mentors in our life that help guide and shape us during our journey. Sheila, do you have a mentor in your life?
Growing up, I did have a couple of mentors in my life. For me, I always hung around more maturely developed individuals. Even though I had friends that were my age, give or take a year or two, I found myself always being around their parents or their grandparents or their aunts and uncles, because I was able to learn more. I was mature for my age. And a couple of mentors that I did have, unfortunately, they're no longer with us. My last mentor was actually one of the Tuskegee Airmen. Um, but currently, no, not really. I don't really. I mean, I watch people, but I don't really have a mentor at this moment.
But you are a mentor to many yourself. And and that's what's important is you know, you mentor to others because I mean you got a caring heart. You're doing a lot of great things. And
Thank
we're gonna continue to do those great things. But I tell you, we're gonna take a station break. We're gonna come back and we're gonna pick it up with some more of this knowledge that Sheila is sharing with us. So knowledge, understanding, and focus. Knowledge, understanding, and focus. And we're gonna talk about those things when we get back. So if you want to be part of this conversation, just go and just ask the question. Remember, it's your life. We'll be back shortly after the break.
We are not a charity. We are veterans. We are warriors, brothers, and sisters. We don't need, we deliver. Opsforvets.com. Handshakes, not handouts.
I'm Albert Rencheria, Marine Chief Warrant Officer 4 retired, Ops for Vets CEO. I invite you to take a look at our organization. You'll quickly understand why out of thousands of groups currently serving our veterans, we have become the most rapidly growing and opportunity-rich team in the market. We have deployed dynamic distributors who are responsible for servicing and growing their regions, East, Central, and West. We provide a complete roster of high-caliber services, produced to create the results you require. Find us on the web at www.opsforvets.com. Handshakes, not handouts.
Hello. Hey, I'm James Cooley. I am the founder and CEO of the J.C. Cooley Foundation, Options, Opportunities, Lasting Choice Program. Our primary mission is to help build the foundation of our youth and young adults and communities. And we encourage everyone to dream big, think big, and be big at everything you do. And the way that you do that is, first of all, you got to believe in yourself. You have to believe in yourself. You have to know that you are here for a purpose. You also have to be able to step out your comfort zone and do things that you probably didn't think that you can do.
Noah Dingley here, producer of The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life. And the new audio version of James' book, Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet, is a must-have. James shares his true life story of struggle and success in America. It's both a cautionary tale and a roadmap to achieving the American dream. Get the new audio version of Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet by James Cooley on Amazon.com or wherever audiobooks are sold.
The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, and I am thoroughly enjoying this conversation that we're having with Sheilah. And I hope that you all are enjoying it as well, because she's speaking truth. She's speaking truth. And a lot of times, if we don't open up our minds and we get the wrong mindset that's going the opposite way, we're not going to understand what truth means and what being able to share your story means to others, not just others, but I believe to you as well. So, Sheilah, I want to commend you for just talking about a lot of these tough topics that many people don't want to talk about, and therefore they don't have any healing because they don't want to talk about it. So I see Michelle asked you another question. She said, "What does the word success mean to you, and do you consider yourself successful?"
The word success means to me is having the ability to overcome your obstacles. And by overcoming your obstacles, you become a victor instead of a victim. When you choose to stay, you become a volunteer. So instead of just sticking and staying, you stick and stay, make it pay. Um, you overcome those obstacles. So I consider myself as being successful because I've overcome those obstacles. I didn't let them make me stay in a certain situation. Apparently God was always with me, because every time somebody says something negative, I always tried to turn that negative into a positive. I always tried to be the peacemaker, because I don't like confusion and chaos. I will walk away. So that's what makes me successful, is being able to assist others and help them to recognize that, turn their bitterness into betterness, and turn their pain into passion.
Wow. I love it. I like that of Victor. And if you decide to stay, it's kind of like you visiting. I mean,
You're volunteer, yes.
I never heard anybody put it like that before. And I might have to grab that one right there and put it in my good bag over here. And but no, that well put, and that's just how it is. I mean, um, you have to turn, just like you had mentioned earlier. You rather have that honey than that lemons, or
Mhm.
and that's what life is about. I think we need to gravitate toward the honey and not stay on the sour side of life, because I believe that if you're on the sour side of life, it's negativity is always going to seek in, and when you're around people and you're trying to be uplifting, you're trying to be positive. If you walking around with just lemons and you keep squeezing it in, I mean it's gonna be bitter all the time.
Mhm.
So I really appreciate you sharing that with us. So we got about 5 minutes left in here, and I don't want to end, but you currently you got a lot of different projects going on right now. Can you tell our viewers and our listeners about some of the things that Sheila is doing at the time? I know you mentioned something about the play. I don't want to forget about that one. So let's talk about that.
Well, currently I'm working on several other books. When I get what they call writer's block, mine isn't exactly writer's block. I just go into another project because my brain is always on overload. So I will go to another project and I will start that. And then when it's time to put that down, I go back to the first one and then I come back to this one. And that's kind of how I work. I'm also trying to get 3 plays done. One pretty much is done. All I have to do is make some little tweaks to it and work on getting that funded, because I think that it is so prevalent to bring about, that issue. I was trying to get it done for October, but of course things happen, other events and whatnot, trying to do book launches and a lot of things I am doing by myself or, with a couple family members. But yeah, I'm working on the play, trying to get that produced. Again, I'm working on other books because the books that I'm working on now, God says, speaking into existence, life and death is in the power of the tongue. So I'm focusing on taking that negative that I've written, and it's not so much negative, taking that experience, that bitterness, and turning it into a betterness where people can see, okay, they've seen the tragic part. Now they're going to see the positive part and how to overcome that. It's not so much of a negative per se. It's being able to learn how to heal and going through the process of healing.
Wow. I tell you, in 45 seconds or less, if you had an opportunity to talk to your younger self, what would Sheilah tell a younger Sheilah version of her?
Don't be so hard-headed, listen to what the adults have to tell you, because they're not telling you for, just to be telling you. There are adults that tell you things for the better good of you, so that you don't stray, so that you have some guidance and direction. Because you can't do everything on your own.
You can't do everything on your own. You have to sometimes listen, because we all have been in that hard-headed stage. Sheilah, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to come on the James Cooley Show. It's Your Life. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to open up that door and invite you back again real soon if you have time in your schedule. Continue to do all the great things that you're doing. Continue to follow the Lord and continue to hold your head up high. So I want to thank you so much. I also like to thank my executive producer, Michelle Cooley, who's always doing all the heavy lifting and to create and write great programs. Most importantly, I like to thank our viewers and our listeners out there for always tuning into the James Cooley Show. It's Your Life. Remember, we'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. Always dream big, think big, and be big. We'll see you tomorrow. It's Your Life. I'm Dr. James J.C. Cooley.
Straight out of my head. Guess we